In the sweeping landscapes of Little House on the Prairie, viewers found comfort and nostalgia in the simple, familial bonds portrayed week after week. This beloved series, which graced our screens from 1974 to 83, painted a wholesome picture of unity and love as it chronicled the life and adventures of the Ingalls family. But it seems the Prairie housed some secrets, brewing not too far beneath the tranquil surface. Join Factsverse as we present Little House on the Prairie stars who couldn't stand each other. Rocky Terrain, the Grassle-Landon Disagreement. Amidst the colorful quilt of captivating storylines and heartfelt moments in Little House on the Prairie, a significant disagreement unfolded between two of its pivotal stars. Karen Grassle, who brought Caroline Ingalls to life, found herself at odds with the famed Michael Landon, the actor behind the admirable Charles Ingalls, during a period of contract renewal. At the height of the show's success, Grassle rightfully vied for an adjusted salary that matched her contributions to the series. But negotiations weren't as smooth as one would hope. Grassle detailed in her memoir Bright Lights, Prairie Dust that the ensuing discussions fostered a cold environment, with Landon and several members of the cast and crew displaying distant behavior. Despite the strained professional relationship, Grassle maintained a level of respect for Landon's immense work ethic, acknowledging the immense pressure he bore to keep the beloved show thriving. Eventually, fences were mended as they reconciled, appreciating each other's dedication to the show's success. Mentor or Menace, MacGregor's unwanted input. Catherine MacGregor's portrayal of Mrs. Olsen has been forever etched in the audience's memories as a stern yet riveting character. Off-screen, MacGregor harbored a penchant for guiding her fellow actors, albeit a bit too fervently. Her insistence on offering unsolicited advice on various aspects of acting, ranging from line delivery to the appropriate utilization of props, became a recurring theme on set. Her intentions, seemingly benign in origin, were to elevate the performances around her. However, this continuous influx of guidance started rubbing some cast members the wrong way. In Alison Arngrim's revealing book, Confessions of a Prairie Bitch, she explained that despite MacGregor's suggestions being valuable at times, the relentless nature of her advice began to wear thin on the patience of her fellow cast members, cultivating a somewhat tense atmosphere on set. Real-life tensions between Gilbert and Anderson. While audiences were engrossed in the fierce rivalry between Laura Ingalls and Nellie Oleson on screen, behind the scenes a different feud was steaming. Melissa Gilbert, who played the spirited Laura, found herself at loggerheads with her co-star Melissa Sue Anderson, who played Mary Ingalls. The camaraderie viewers saw on screen seemed to have vanished when the cameras were off. Gilbert narrated her unpleasant experiences with Anderson in her autobiography Prairie Tale, where she described Anderson as distant and somewhat unfriendly. This strained relationship resulted in a cold atmosphere off-screen, with Gilbert finding Anderson's demeanor both elusive and slightly intimidating. The divide between them seemed to be entrenched, with no signs of thawing as time went on. An unfriendly reunion, Arngrim and Anderson. As we've seen so far, the set of Little House seems to have been a breeding ground for various disagreements and cold wars, and the dynamics between Alison Arngrim and Melissa Sue Anderson were no different. Arngrim, who breathed life into the character of Nellie Oleson, recalled in a fairly recent interview her difficult interactions with Anderson, which were marked by a distinct lack of warmth and camaraderie. Arngrim recalled instances where she felt somewhat threatened by Anderson, a vibe that persisted even during their sporadic interactions in later years. A notable encounter occurred years later at Michael Landon's funeral, where an attempt by Arngrim to engage Anderson in a friendly conversation was met with a frigid and standoffish response, highlighting the enduring, icy relations between the two. A blossoming friendship amidst on-screen rivalry. On the set of Little House, a most curious friendship bloomed between two young actresses cast in adversarial roles. The fierce rivalry portrayed on screen between Laura Ingalls and Nellie Oleson, played by Melissa Gilbert and Alison Arngrim respectively, bore no resemblance to their off-screen camaraderie, despite being embroiled in relentless squabbles and disagreements in their on-screen personas. Their real-life rapport was rather symbiotic. Contrary to their on-screen enmity, Gilbert and Arngrim fostered a deep and meaningful friendship that saw them enjoying sleepovers and nurturing a bond that could only be described as sisterly. Their capacity to project such vehement rivalry on screen while maintaining a warm friendship off-screen speaks volumes about the inherent talent and professionalism vested in both young actresses. A teasing romance. The Arngrim-Tracy connection. As the show's storyline progressed and characters matured, romantic subplots naturally surfaced in Little House on the Prairie. This gave rise to a playful yet teasing dynamic between Allison Arngrim and Steve Tracy, who played Nellie and Percival respectively. The camaraderie shared between these two actors extended to a good-humored teasing of their co-star and good friend Melissa Gilbert, often centered around Gilbert's youthful innocence. In a bid to shake Gilbert, Arngrim and Tracy would frequently exaggerate their on-screen romance even off-set, engaging in over-the-top displays of affection, much to Gilbert's discomfort. This playful interaction remained confined to friendly banter, as Tracy identified as gay, ruling out any potential real-life romance. Even so, their light-hearted antics added a dose of amusement to the sets, showcasing a playful friendship that thrived amidst the cast members. Brotherly bonds and estrangement. The Gilbert siblings. The intricate web of relationships on the set also witnessed familial bonds being mirrored in real life. Jonathan Gilbert, who played William Olson, was Melissa Gilbert's adopted brother. Their sibling connection was not confined to their roles in the series, as they shared a deep bond in real life too. Sadly, as time progressed, the siblings drifted apart, experiencing an estrangement that distanced them from each other. This element of their relationship adds a layer of complexity to the fascinating tapestry of relationships that existed amongst the cast. Michael Landon's disconcerting revelations. The set was not all it seemed to be, especially with Michael Landon at the helm, exuding an energy that was quite contrary to his wholesome on-screen persona. Landon, known to audiences as the Honorable Charles Ingalls, fostered an environment of discomfort as he boasted about his rejuvenated sexual prowess, a result of bee pollen supplements he had started taking. Karen Grassle recounted her challenging experiences with Landon's blatant and inappropriate discussions in her memoir, Bright Lights, Prairie Dust. It appears the catalyst behind Landon's grandiose claims was his burgeoning affair with Cindy Clerico, a young woman working as a stand-in on set who was over 2 decades his junior. The news of their liaison soon became the talk of the set, unsettling the tight-knit group of cast and crew members who couldn't ignore the blatant displays of affection that began to distance Landon from the camaraderie that once defined the show's behind-the-scenes atmosphere. Even though Clerico was seen as a pleasant person, her involvement with Landon soon cast a dark shadow on the jovial community that once characterized the series' production. The fallout was quite discernible and extended far beyond the bounds of the set, affecting many relationships, including the already fragile one between Landon and Catherine Scotty MacGregor, known to audiences as the snooty store owner Harriet Olsen. The affair turned into a media frenzy, with tales of confrontations and fluctuating commitments making headlines, leaving the cast and crew to navigate a minefield of awkward encounters and broken friendships. Now it's time to hear from you. Which of these off-screen feuds was most surprising to hear about? Let us know in the comments section below.